Welcome everyone to our landlord information session, coming to a pretty bit of a different time this time around. Just sort of during the day, we normally come to you sort of later on in the afternoon, but we thought we've just received some information regarding the new stage 4 restrictions here in Melbourne and Victoria as a whole. And we thought it was a great opportunity for Michael and I to share with you what these changes mean for the real estate industry and for us. One of the big changes is that our office is going to be closed now for the next 6 weeks, but very importantly, we're not. We will still be working from home and still be here actively, servicing all our clients across all aspects of the business. So, as always, our Q&A will be open. So if anyone has a question, please send through any information or any questions that you have throughout today, and we'll be able to answer those as we go through. And now I'd like to introduce Michael. Welcome.
Hi Anthony, how you going?
Good, thank you. How is it now sort of working back at home?
Yeah, look, not too bad, not too bad. I think as we've kind of mentioned previously, we've been I suppose working flexibly over the last little bit anyway. So it's not anything too new. I suppose it's more just the knowing now that we can't leave unless for specific reasons, and going to work isn't one of those for us at the moment. I suppose obviously there are some reasons to do it, but yeah, well and truly set up. I was actually looking back in the calendar to see when we first started working from home, when we first started making that decision, in the 16th of March. So we're pretty quickly coming up on 6 months. So it's it's pretty unreal when you actually think about that it's been that long. It's been almost half a year, but at the same time, like I said, I suppose it's more that we're well rehearsed at it now. We've gone through it a few times, so nothing really too surprising about it. But yeah, trying to still get ourselves set up, I suppose, in terms of rooms and spaces and things. Like I'm currently working from the nursery / spare bedroom / study at the moment. And Anthony, your location and your backdrop seems to change every single time we do one of these calls.
It does. I'm working from the spare room at my in-laws' house. And I said this to Steph last night. We've been married now will be 8 months tomorrow. We've endured bushfires we snuck in and got a full wedding in just in December. Had our honeymoon. We've endured the bushfires that were in December, January. We've purchased the property. We've also, in the midst of a global pandemic, now going into our second lockdown, and now living with the in-laws. So I reckon if I can make it through the next 6 weeks, I think we'll be all right for the rest of our lives. So I don't think there's so much challenges that you can throw at us in this. So this should probably be, my backdrop won't change now for the next 6 weeks. So that any sort of information sessions that we do, this will be where I come to you from. So if you hear any barking in the background, that's just the dog. So my apologies in advance.
All good. Anthony, what we might do is we might jump straight into it. So just to simplify things, as Anthony mentioned, we received some information overnight and first thing this morning around what the restrictions are. So I suppose just by way of background for those that aren't entirely clear and those that are joining us from areas other than Melbourne Metro. So Melbourne metropolitan region is in stage 4. What that means is that other than work-related things, we actually can't leave our homes. We can't be within further than 5 kilometres away from our own home for either exercise or essential shopping. So buying things like groceries and things like that, but we can't be outside of a 5 kilometre radius of our home. And we need to limit outdoor exercise to just one person from the household and only an hour as well a day. So fairly strict restrictions. Obviously, the strictest that we've seen here in Melbourne. We've spoken to some of our counterparts over in New Zealand who went through 6 or 8 weeks. Anthony, I think it was. They went through even harsher restrictions where they couldn't leave their home at all, and all takeaway restaurants and all sorts of things were closed as well. Thankfully, we don't have it to that extent, but obviously it is the hardest lockdown that we've gone through. And from a work sense, I suppose there was a lot of confusion earlier in the week, and to the government, I suppose they had a significant amount of work to go through, but we've finally been able to receive some clarification actually just this morning on a number of things. But as Anthony mentioned, obviously our office is closed and closed as of midnight last night. we won't obviously be working from the office, but like I said earlier, it's not really too much of a concern for us because obviously we've been working remotely since March anyway. So a lot of the things that we'll cover off on here will kind of demonstrate that, I suppose we're not too concerned about that. It obviously does limit our operations in some particular areas, but we can obviously, we've worked out ways of getting around that as well. So what we've done is we've prepared this fairly simple graph, which I'm happy to share with anybody after the presentation as well, that just shows, I suppose, what the limitations are, so what we can't do, what we can do, or what we're doing to, I suppose, get around those limitations. A lot of it involves technology, which, thankfully is something that our business has embraced as a whole, not just Anthony and I, but everybody involved in it as well. And then the last column there is just really around the areas that we're waiting for some clarification on how we're allowed to operate. So Anthony, feel free to jump in, and probably importantly jump in around the sales stuff here as well. But I'll start us off there on the office. So obviously the office closed today, or midnight last night up until the 13th of September. We were allowed to reopen in the office. So obviously we can't go into the office, but what we can do is still access all of our records, emails, all of our programs, any tenancy records, landlord records, vendor report, the whole lot, everything we can access remotely. It's not something that we've been doing recently. It's something that we've been doing for quite a while now. So, we are essentially a paperless office. There's still, some records that we hold in the office, but they're not ones that we need to draw on very regularly. So we've got everything that we need remotely anyway. So that's not a concern at all. And the office, if you were to call the office number now, you'd be redirected right through to one of the team's computers or mobiles. Again, it's something that we've been doing since we made the move to the new office back in December. It's almost like we knew what was coming, but I know we had a bit of pushback from the team when we said that no one was going to have a phone on their desk and all the phone calls were going to go through to their mobiles. But we're extremely thankful come March for that very reason. So we haven't had to worry about being in the office to answer calls or anything like that. All of that's coming through. So if you call our office number, you'll go straight through to one of the guys who will answer it and then redirect as they need to whoever in the office, and that they can answer that on them at any time. And then team meetings. So again, something that we've been doing since March is daily, sometimes twice daily team meetings. They're all happening virtually. We had a small window. I didn't count the days, but I think it might have been about 16 or 17 days where we could actually do a small number of us in the office together at one point, and then the rest of us working from home. But we've all obviously just doing that virtually now. So I know I've spoken to the property management team probably 3 or 4 times already today as a group. So it's not something that we're limited in doing. Thankfully, again, the technology that we've got around us enables us to do that, and it feels very much like we're sitting in front of each other anyway, which is nice. And we even did on a lighter side, we actually did a trivia night for the first time the other night through Teams, which was a bit of fun, and I think it's going to come really well.
Which worked really well. I think we everyone participated in it. I reckon it was a great night.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun. It was quite good, and I think we'll make a habit of that. That was great fun. Yeah. The one area that we're waiting on clarification on, and it seems like something I suppose quite basic, but could become quite important, is the ability to go to the office to collect keys in an emergency. At the moment, the work permit system that's in place doesn't allow for that. But obviously the Real Estate Institute's working quite hard to try and make that happen. So we're confident that will happen, but we're just waiting on, I suppose, confirmation of that, because we don't want to, I suppose, jeopardise any of ourselves in doing that and making sure that we're complying by the regulations. Anthony, I'll switch over to you, and maybe you can cover off on the sales stuff.
Yeah, so I think one thing to note that you and I both sort of sat down a couple of times over the last sort of 48 hours and gone through this list of what we can do's and can't do's. And we spent a bit of time obviously in the can't do's, but it's more so making sure that we're clear about what we can do. Now we've probably taken a bit of a not a harder sort of line, but the line of that, this is a worst case. So if anything changes in the course of the next couple of days that come out from the state government, we're probably going to be better prepared than most. So we're not sort of, waiting to see what happens. So from a sales perspective, obviously, no, we can't do any on-site inspections one-on-one anymore. We can't do any on-site appraisals, photography, key collection from the office and those sorts of things. But what we can do, we'll still be actively, doing sales negotiations. And I was just having a chat to Michael before we received an inquiry from a guy in Sydney that's looking at buying a property down here in Melbourne, and he seems like there's interest in it from his end. There's all the photos, all the virtual tours, everything like that's on our website, so he's able to get a good understanding of the property. So we still think that those sales negotiations will continue on happening through the next 6 weeks. Online inspections, whether they're 3D tours and video links, which all our properties have got. Contract signing online. So we've just, new technology that we've just implemented into the office allows us to take offers remotely on our iPads and send them through to digital signatures for both vendors and purchasers, and then property appraisals virtually. So if any prospective client out there is wanting to get an appraisal done on their property, we can do it through a Teams call like this or through FaceTime, where they can walk us around their property and we can give them an update or an appraisal on that. But we can also attend, and the guidelines clearly state that we can attend settlement and key handover from receiving keys from the owner and then passing on to the new purchaser. So we can still do that. We just need to get clarification about going into the office to get keys, but they should be okay to do that. So that's what we can do, and what we're focusing really heavily on in sales is around those particular items, and then also going through and making sure we're touching base with all our vendors, trying to see if there's opportunities within our customer base of people that we've met and spoken to over the course of the last 2 years, and seeing if they're still in the market to buy and wanting to do something, whether it's over the next 6 weeks or on the other side of this. I guess one thing actually, I know I'll come to that later on when we speak about that. But Michael, rentals, what can we do?
Yeah, so rentals are similar. So obviously, no on-site inspections. Property photography limited. I know we've got quite a number of properties available at the moment, given the marketplace we've been operating in for the last 6 months now. So there are quite a few properties there because we have started to experience that I suppose churn in tenants moving out and new ones moving in, and the prices slowly coming off because of that. So I know there's some anxious landlords at the moment that do have vacant properties or their tenants moving out during this 6-week period. We've told them not to be too concerned about it. We are, so surprisingly, even today, we're still getting inquiries. There's also still quite a lot of confusion out there amongst tenants around what they're allowed to do. So I know there's some tenants that are unsure about whether they can actually move out of a property. Now, that has been confirmed this morning, but we are also saying to them, if they have given us a notice to vacate, they were actually the first people that we called. We called all the ones that were due to vacate over the course of the next 6 weeks and said, is it something that you might want to reconsider? Purely just on the basis that it's probably going to be difficult to organise cleaners. It's probably going to be difficult to organise removalists. Especially with all these restrictions around, movement for personal reasons. So being within 5 kilometres, it's not a simple thing. And particularly if they haven't actually found a property to move into yet, because obviously then they've got to try and find something virtually rather than actually physically inspecting it. So we're quite successful in actually getting a few notices to vacate removed or withdrawn, and some of them have even pushed back until after the 6-week period, which is good because obviously it helps landlords out as well, in terms of knowing they've got a tenant until the end. But for those that are vacant at the moment, we're in conversations with all of them individually to actually work through what's going to be best for those. I know some landlords I've spoken to have said, look, property's coming to market or was due to come to market this week. They're actually going to hold off for 5 weeks and wait till the last week of the lockdown, and then we'll do a fresh launch then and start booking in physical inspections in the week that we come out afterwards. Because obviously we're hoping that there's going to be a fair bit of pent-up demand there from tenants wanting to relocate and not having to have that opportunity to kind of inspect for 6 weeks. So we should see a big rush that following week. And I know we're certainly gearing up for that week already. We're already talking to the guys about, making sure we block out that first week, 2 weeks out of lockdown, because we'll need to start booking inspections, on the tail end of this 6 weeks. So yeah, like I said, we're speaking to all the landlords about that individually and their different circumstances. But I'm still confident that we'll still get leases done during this period. I know there was a big rush over the last 3 days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on the last 3 days of physical inspections, as we expected it might have been. And we haven't seen the final numbers, but I believe we managed to lease 8 properties in the 3 days, which is a huge effort. I mean, usually we're averaging 20 to 30 leases a month. So to do 8 in 3 days is a huge amount. And I know there's even deposits coming through this morning on properties that people had expected. So you'd expect that might even increase further. Again, similar to Anthony, we're still getting people inquiring and saying, look, they're comfortable to apply based on the video tour. We're just working through details as an office on how we handle those ones there, because obviously we can still move a tenant in if they've inspected the property virtually on the video tour. So we're just working through exactly what that's going to look like, and I think it's probably going to be at the case by case basis on how we do that, because obviously we don't want to land in a situation where a tenant potentially comes through the property after having seen the video and going, oh, that bedroom's not quite the same size as what I thought it might have been, or I didn't realise that this was like that. So we're just working through details on that, and that's why we're also waiting for the clarification on on-site inspections, as you can see in that waiting for clarification section. Where we'd ideally like to land is that we could have one of our agents go to a property with their phone in hand, do a FaceTime call or a Teams call with the prospective tenant as a final, but just before payment's made, and actually confirm that the property is what they're after. So opening cupboards, looking underneath things, and all the questions and all the things that a tenant will want to do before they actually submit an application on the property. So hopefully that's something that will be allowed. I don't see any real risk associated with it, obviously, because it'll just be the agent on their own and not coming into contact with anyone. But I suppose we're waiting for clarification on that one there. But outside of that, what we can do is still attend lease signups. So as I said, those 8 leases that we've committed to over the last 3 days, they will get done over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks. And our agents are still permitted to jump in the car, drive out to the property, perform an ingoing inspection, hand the keys over to the tenant, sign off the lease, and move the tenant in, which is fantastic. Also outgoing inspections. So we'll still have some tenants that will move out during this period. The outgoing inspections will still go ahead. So the way we'll arrange that is that rather than the tenant returning keys to the office, we'll meet the tenant at the property, collect the keys, perform the outgoing inspection, film a video. So we have the video for marketing as well. And we can finalise the bond at that point there too. Online inspections. So the video tours, I really need to thank my entire team for this. We've been working hard over the last few months to make sure that we have videos for the majority of our properties. But again, yesterday, there was a huge effort by most of the property management team going out there and recording videos for all of our properties. So I can say with my hand on my heart now that 100% of our available rental properties, and even some of those that are becoming available as well, have videos recorded for them, and they're all online. So every single one of the properties, any of the landlords that are tuning in today, every single one of those properties has a video tour on there. So there's no reason why a prospective tenant couldn't jump on there and have a look at the video walkthrough. And the walkthroughs are great because they're not overly complex videos, but it gives you the real impression of actually physically walking into the property and what it's like walking around and having a look around. So great effort by the property managers in doing that. Routine inspections are still being done. They have been done virtually since late March, early April anyway. So they've been done remotely. We call them a tenant assisted inspection. So a link essentially gets sent to the tenant. They review the link. They go in there and they're given instructions on how to perform the routine inspection. Once it's complete, it gets sent back to the property manager. The property manager then finalises the report, and it gets sent out to the landlord in a format that they're used to, very similar to what you've received previously. And obviously urgent maintenance. So if there's a burst pipe or a flooded toilet or whatever it might be, electrical faults, urgent maintenance can still be done. All non-urgent maintenance is currently on hold, but all urgent maintenance will still be done. Sorry, Anthony, I've kind of been going at 1,000,000 miles an hour there, but is there anything that you wanted to add to that at all?
No, I think you covered off and everything. One thing that you did mention it, but I just wanted to reiterate what you were saying, is just around the effort from everyone across the whole team with regards to the amount of effort they've put in to get those videos done, to get everything, all those videos up online. The massive push over the last sort of, those 3 days up until yesterday to get every property leased and all that. And then also from the sales, perspective as well, putting 2 deals together, the last sort of 2 days of that, on Monday and again yesterday, signing one off was great. So massive effort, huge commitment from everyone, and it was a job well done from every single person within inside the team. So just want to thank them all so very much for all that. That we all know and everyone sort of understands that the next 6 weeks are going to be extremely challenging and difficult, and it's not going to stop or slow down. So we might cover off on the Owners Corporation stuff now, and then we might move into what sort of Michael and I've got our sort of focus is going to be for the next sort of 6 weeks. And again, at this point, I will remind, if you have got any questions about what we've just covered off on, please just, if you want to pop them up in the little question mark box there, send them through. Happy to answer any questions that you guys have got throughout through this presentation. Michael, with Owners Corporation, obviously we won't be able to do any on-site inspections, handle any physical meetings, which I don't think we've been able to do now for probably since March. We haven't been able to do any sort of AGMs or anything like that in person, but we've been able to do those online. And then obviously non-urgent maintenance servicing will sort of be on hold until after the 6 weeks. Did you want to sort of cover off on just maybe around the AGM meetings and what we can do?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so I know there's been a bit of confusion, even just in the industry as a whole, around what limitations there've been over the last 6 months. I've heard a lot of buildings, unfortunately, pushing AGMs back and blaming it on the current situation. There's no reason why they can't be done. I think everybody's fairly well versed at the moment in attending these sorts of meetings. So we've been set up right from the very beginning for this style of meeting, and to be honest, it actually suits a lot of owners to be able to do this anyway. So all of our general meetings and committee meetings are attended virtually. So whether that be through a Teams call or even just a normal teleconference, we're doing that across all the buildings, and there's not been any issues, especially as we've clicked over end of financial year as well. You've got a lot of AGMs coming up too, so they'll all be done virtually. There's no issues with any of that. The key remote and swipe ordering, we're capable of doing that. Again, I know of some buildings that have said that for the next 6 weeks we can't do that. We're set up to do it. It's probably a bit more of a manual process than what we've previously done, including me, making a trip down to Australia Post. But we've got the ability to do it. There's no reason why we can't. So if that's required, obviously completing the order form for the respective building, making payment, and it'll get sent out. It may take a little bit longer in terms of processing time and things like that, but you can still order those. Common area cleaning. So there was a little bit of confusion around cleaning and gardening as well earlier in the week. Gardening, there's still a question mark around whether that's allowed in these buildings. I know in residential premises it's not allowed, but we're still getting clarification in commercial premises whether gardening is permitted. But cleaning is definitely permitted because it is considered an essential service, particularly for buildings where there's multiple occupants. And especially at the moment, you want to try and reduce the risk of any spread of viruses or diseases or anything like that. So cleaning becomes really important to get done. So cleaning services are done, and all of our cleaners have COVID plans in place, which is provided to us. So that's quite clear. And obviously urgent maintenance. So again, if anything urgent pops up, similar to the rental side, obviously that needs to be taken care of. So there's no issues with any of that. Yeah. Great. All right. So now that we've covered off on all of those, Anthony, obviously it is a period of 6 weeks that we are going into. With, I suppose, a different way of operating. You and I were having a bit of a discussion about what's required and what we'd like to get out of the next 6 weeks. Did you want to cover off on a few of the things that you'll be doing and your team will be doing?
Yeah, so we'll be over the next 6 weeks. One thing that we really wanted to focus on, so we've integrated a bit of new technology into sales. So one of them being that we've just signed up on to 2 new programs. So one of them being Real-Time Agent, which is a digital platform that we're able to sign authorities and also contracts on, and also a bit of a handles all that sort of bidding registration for auctions as well. So really excited to be using that. So we actually signed up our first offer on that on Monday, which worked extremely well. So the owner and the purchaser were able to use it, and it worked fine. So just making sure that we've got all those, we've got our systems and procedures in place for that new program to come through, and then roll out the training across our team. And also with similar to with rentals with Inspect Real Estate, we've just signed on board with them on a sales perspective as well. So we wanted to make sure that we've got all those our properties ready to go. We did have about 4 properties that were supposed to launch on Monday for sales. So we've obviously put those on hold for the next 6 weeks. So we will be launching those about a week out. So just wanting to make sure that we get a bit of a jump on the rest of the competition with that. So photos are done, everything's sort of ready to go. So it's just a matter of uploading those. We'll probably do that a week out. Similar as well, what you said in rentals, we'll be basically dedicating the first 2 to 3 weeks of just to show as much of the properties as we can, and get as many people through those properties as possible in the first couple of weeks back after this lockdown. And then also for me, it's going to be around and the team as well, making sure that we get ready. It's going to be a pretty intense 6 weeks, but I can imagine it's going to be an even more intense 3 to 4 months after this, and that run to Christmas. So we really want to make sure that we're ready for that, mentally and physically, that we're at the top of our game, and we're making sure that when we do come out of this, we're better than what we did going into it. And I think that's been a bit of our motto through this whole thing, Michael, really, hasn't it? It's about coming out of every situation bigger and better than what we did going into it, and that's sort of again our thinking and mentality with this one here. It's where can we see the opportunities? What can we better ourselves? How can we upskill? How can we be that and provide that better level of service for our customers and clients on the other side? So there's going to be a real emphasis on that from our team of making sure that we go through basically dissecting every part of our sales business for over the next 6 weeks, and really making sure that it's the best it can be, and making sure that we can deliver those at the end.
No, that's great. That's really good. And look, from my perspective, similar. It's going to be around training and process largely. So training, we've obviously got a big piece of work coming up, or a piece of legislation coming up, which is supposed to come in on the 1st of January. Now that may get pushed back again. It was due to come in on the 1st of July, but obviously with everything going on, it was delayed to the 1st of Jan. They might be pushing that back, but there's obviously the Residential Tenancy Act changes. So we've actually organised some private training to occur within the team over the next 3 weeks. So that will happen every week for the next 3 weeks with the team, just to really get across those details. We've all had a quick read of some of the draft legislation, but it'll be useful just having an opportunity to do that. And again, being in an environment where it's typically a bit quieter, and you're actually able to focus on it and maybe remove yourselves from work a little bit as well. It's nice to be able to actually focus and spend some real quality time on that training. So that will be useful, because it's obviously going to be a pretty significant change to the industry as a whole. What we'll also be doing a little bit of training on is just more refresher training on our systems as they are. So we've got quite a lot of systems that support the way we work. We want to make sure that we're using those in the best possible way. So we'll be rolling out a significant amount of training over the next few weeks for the team to do that. Not that I'm expecting the team to be all that quiet, especially in rentals. I know it'll probably be another busy time. I know the last lockdown was. But yeah, obviously, whenever we get an opportunity to, we'll be covering off on a fair bit of that training as well. From myself, process is going to be a big area that we need to dive back into. So one of the areas that we've been wanting to all year to make some significant improvements is on our application receipt and processing side. So you'll probably see over the course of the next few weeks some changes to that, even just the way we communicate with landlords following inspections, fairly regular ownership reports that are coming out off the back of inspections that are being performed on vacant properties. what application reporting you'll be receiving. So you're receiving an email, an automated email now, with more detail in there around the applicant. So just making sure that we're, I suppose, building that out. Again, it's an opportunity for us to actually take the time to do that. It's really difficult when we're, I suppose, processing as many applications as we are and trying to make changes to that process. So yes, we are considering it. We're going to see a pretty significant reduction in the number of applications being received over the next few weeks, but we need to use it as an opportunity to improve the process. One, to make it easier for tenants to apply, because we get that complaint a lot that, tenants submit an application and they're not really quite sure what to attach, and it's a bit clumsy. So we just wanted to really tighten that up, but also make sure that we can process those applications as quickly as possible to get a result. And that's going to be the key coming onto the other side of this, because obviously, like I said, we're expecting this big rush and all this pent up demand from tenants that are wanting to move over the course of the next few weeks, and just wanting to jump straight into things and hit the ground running. So that's what we'll certainly be focusing on. And the last one is really just the last couple of weeks. I've already blocked that out and said to the team that those last 2 weeks of this lockdown are going to be really about focusing our efforts on what the first 2 weeks out of lockdown look like. Booking our inspections in. We've been using for the last month or so now, we've been using a great application that allows us to book inspection slots. So, obviously we can't advertise and open for inspection time, but if you went on any of our listings up until yesterday, you would have seen that you could essentially book a time, any day of the week, for an inspection on any of the properties. And you'd essentially be able to book a 5-minute time slot, and it would allocate that to one of our agents. And it's been a fantastic program through this, because obviously removing the ability to go and do an open for inspection is a difficult thing, but we're essentially getting around that by advertising a time slot where one person can come and attend the open. So we're still meeting the requirement of not having an open for inspection, but we're allowing one person to come through at a particular time, and it's been fantastic. And honestly, it's I suppose if we hadn't gone into this week, it would have been even better, because we would have got some more traction on it. But I'm excited for what that means on the other side as well, because we can obviously open it up 2 weeks ahead, and just book everything in, and it'll completely fill the diaries up, which would be fantastic. So so they're the few things. The other thing I wanted to kind of touch on is the fact that we'll be doing these updates. We'll go back to doing these updates fortnightly, like we did through the last lockdown. Good opportunity to kind of talk to you about how things are going, particularly as, I suppose, news comes out and we get more information. This thing seems to evolve every 2 weeks or so. So it'd be nice to know in 2 weeks' time where we're at and whether we're still on track to open up in 6 weeks as planned. And I know we're all certainly hoping for that. So look out for the invites; they'll be coming out soon as well. And the other one I wanted to put up too was, I'll just share this with you. So next week, Anthony and I will be joining our counterparts out in Warragul, at the Next RE office in Warragul. We're both hosting a landlord information evening on the changes to the Tenancies Act. So that is happening at 6 p.m. next Tuesday. Following this, I'll send through the link to the video, but in the link to the video, I'll also include a link to the registration for that webinar. It's a Zoom webinar, so not on Teams, but I suppose everybody's probably used to using both systems now. But what you basically do is click the link, follow the steps on there, just register to attend, and you'll receive an email back with details on how to dial into the meeting next Tuesday at 6 p.m. So that will be quite good. Yeah, Anthony, is there anything else you wanted to cover off on at all?
No, I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank our landlords and our clients, not just our landlords, but all our clients. I've received some amazing phone calls and from our clients just reaching out and checking in over the last couple of days and making sure that we're okay and everything's going well for us. We really do have some of the most amazing clients in the world, and I'm not just saying that. I thank each and every one of you so much for your continuous support over the last since March. and and it's obviously going to continue for the next month or next 6 weeks at least. So it's just amazing to hear those those people just reaching out and saying g'day and all that sort of stuff, and it goes both ways. We're here for anyone when they need us, even if it's just for a chat to say g'day and just to check in to see how you're going. Always happy, as you know, Mike, always happy for a chat. So don't be afraid to give us a call and say g'day. I had actually one of our clients last night that I spoke to is like, if you're ever bored and you want to have a chat for half an hour, give me a buzz. So I'll be making sure that I'll give him a call once a week and just say g'day. But I just wanted to take that opportunity, and then also to our amazing team as well. They've put in a massive effort over the last 6 months and continue on doing some amazing and great work. So thank you to them. And also, Michael, thank you as well. All the stuff that comes out of our office with all the information, all the emails, all these events that we do, you're the one that's tireless in the background putting them all together. So thank you for doing that. I know that there's a lot of times where I'll be calling you and saying, can you send this out for me? Can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do that? But I just want to say thank you for all the hard work that you've done over the last 6 months as well. I know I'm talking like as if this is over. It's not, but it's just getting started. But as I said to someone yesterday that moved down to the peninsula, they unfortunately haven't been able to get to Europe this year. I said, just think that every day is one day closer to you back in Europe. And that's just the way that we look at it. We're just one day closer to getting out of this lockdown, one day closer to going back and doing inspections, and then one day closer to being able to open for inspections. So we'll get there. Just a lot more hard work and a lot more hours, and we'll get it done.
Yeah. No, I agree. It is, and thank you for that. But like I said, I just want to, I suppose, mirror what you were saying as well about our clients too. We are always here for a chat. I've just put our details up there on the screen too. Probably more available now than ever for a chat. So if you want to have a discussion about anything, it doesn't need to be property related. It can be absolutely anything at all. But just give us a call. We're always here to talk. If we don't answer, we'll certainly return your call. But yeah, just a big thank you, particularly from my perspective, to the landlords and also to all of our owners corporation clients who have been absolutely fantastic throughout this whole time. I know I've spoken to quite a few of you already over the course of the last week or so, and I'm sure I'll probably speak to a lot more of you over the next few weeks too. But yeah, the words of support and everything like that we've been receiving have been very reassuring, and especially as I suppose on a more personal note, as a business owner, it's nice to know that we're supported by such a great group of people, and that's not just the people that work in the office, but also our clients. There's genuinely people that care about us and our well-being. I know I received an email from one of our landlords. It would have been probably Monday night, I think it was. All the days are kind of meshed together, but it was Monday night, and he sent me through an email saying, don't stress, everything will be okay. Just remember what's important in life. And that's true. And I suppose that's probably the best thing to really take out of this is the fact that whilst the next 6 weeks will be challenging, because obviously there's limitations on what we're able to do and what we're allowed to do, you also need to take the next 6 weeks as it's been given to us and really take advantage of certain things that you might not never get an opportunity to do again. Small little things like I did just now, having lunch with the family is something that I'll probably never do again after these 6 weeks, because it's something that's just not possible in our line of work. But being able to kind of stop and do that are really important. So yeah, I suppose it's a bit of a balance over the next 6 weeks. There'll be a huge amount of work to do, but at the same time, obviously. When we're telling our team this, take advantage of it and use it as been an opportunity to kind of put the brakes on a little and just rest up, because I'm sure in 6 weeks' time it'll all be forgotten and we'll be going at a million miles an hour again, particularly on the leasing front as well.
Definitely.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Again, our details are up there. If there's anything at all, email, phone call, whatever it might be, feel free to contact us directly, and we'll be in touch. But we'll if we don't see you, like I said, try and attend the event next Tuesday evening. There will also be a link to that sent around, the recording of that one there if you can't attend that one there. But we will go back to doing the fortnightly meetings from the week after that as well. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks. See ya.
Thank you.